Hi, everyone. Kate Byars here with Corporate Women Unleashed. I'm super excited. We have a fabulous client, Francoise. She is a senior member of in the pharmaceutical field, and she has been working with us for almost the better part of a year now, and has come in to just share her story, share where she was at, and really show what's possible for a woman in a pretty intense field, how to really not just survive it, but thrive in it. So I cannot wait to hear what she's going to say. Francois, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good. Cool. Well, let's just have a chat. So I would love to know, how would you describe to someone out there who is potentially struggling in their career with whether it's burnout or overworking, like where are you at today? Like, what do you feel the results are from this process and from your time that you've been with us in CW?
So I would say to anybody listening that the results for me have been really very, very strong and very inspiring. I have a level of flow and confidence and happiness that I had not felt for quite a long time, both professionally and personally. So I think the results have been pretty incredible in terms of restoring that sense of balance and calm that I had lost track of in a way.
That is delicious. Yes. Okay, so then tell us a little bit maybe where you were at before you came into CW. Like what was happening that you didn't have that balance, you didn't have that calm, and really had you seeking a solution to say, I got to do something different here.
So where I was at was actually pretty painful. So I came across CWU in September last year, and I was just starting a pretty heavy burnout.
Yeah.
Let's call it by its name. I was coming out of 3 or 4 years of very intense work schedule, a lot of stretch. The 12 months before that, I relocated to the USA from Europe with my family, and I had a lot of challenging projects at work that I absolutely wanted to achieve. And I ended up really getting off balance during the summer. And unfortunately for me, I also suffer from type 1 diabetes. So the stress that I was under, coming from me or coming from outside, ended up having some impact on my sugar levels. I just couldn't control it anymore. So I did end up in a proper burnout. I ended up being signed off work for 3 months. And this is during this sign-off period that I started to research the source of stress. I wanted to understand what was going on. I wanted to understand why it was happening. I had a burnout 15 years before, and I could not understand why I was walking into that corridor
Yeah.
again in my life. And that's
Yeah.
basically where I bumped into CWU.
Yeah. And thank you, first of all, for saying that, because I think there's this real, there can be the stigma around burnout, and it's like that's what I had. Like you don't go live on an island when you're in the middle of your career because like life is good. I was burned out. I'd had enough. It was like there's got to be a different way. So I appreciate that. But what was the trigger for you to say, because I think a lot of times we burn out, we stay home for a few months, we rest, and then we get right back up on the pony and start riding again. Like, was there any trigger that said, I got to fix this time? Like, what was your motivation?
Yes, I had to fix it because I was physically exhausted. It was just not, mental stress or mental burnout. It was
Okay.
physical exhaustion that impacted me physically. So it took me a month, the whole month of September, to recover physically from the shutdown that I went through. And I think it was so intense that I really, really had to go for finding the core and the source of the problem. I'm a knowledge seeker, like a lot of us can be in our field, and I just could not understand. And because I was really researching to understand, and because also I had lots of big things in my head, like, do I want to stop working? Do
Yeah.
I want part-time? I have a young son who's 7, and I really was asking myself some really critical questions in September. And my job is important. I love my job. I'm passionate about my job and what I do, and I could not put two and two together.
Yeah.
And I really, really searched, and this is I had to fix it. I knew I could rest, but it was so intense that I needed to go above and beyond to really understand and go back on my feet because I was wondering if I had to leave my job or my company or do something totally different, but deep down I did not want to do that. So I had to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember the first time we talked because I remember you were on that maybe it's time to put this career down. Maybe I can't do this anymore. And I think we get to that point where the burnout is just so intense. You're like, this just isn't worth it, or I'm doing something wrong, or all these voices go through our head. And I remember you were struggling with that at that moment and kind of going, I got to take some time and figure this out because yeah, it's important. Um, what else did you try before you found us? Was there anything else you had tried, or did we just sort of show up in your life at that point? Or
No, and that's where it's really meaningful for me to talk about that is that the 3 years before I was very lucky and very supported by my organization. I had a professional coach working with me for the last three years before because I had taken a lot of responsibility
yeah,
fast and I
yeah,
wanted to manage it very well. So I have been followed by a professional coach extremely well, and she helped me actually acknowledge that I was working in burnout and accept to say it's enough, I need to stop.
yeah.
But it's as if everything she had been telling me for the last 3 years, I was not ready to listen to it. And my type of character is like, okay, I need to walk into the wall to
Yeah.
actually take time for myself and really recalibrate. So in a way, that's what I had before, but I found something more with your organization.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fabulous. Okay, so tell the world, what are some of the crazy things we had you do? Or was there anything as you were stepping into this process? Because I remember when we talked, you'd watched some of the videos and you were aware of sort of who we are and what we do. But once you got into behind the curtain and started working with us, was there anything that you thought, what are these people telling me? Or how did you experience it?
So I remember when I started that because I was emotionally charged, I wanted to fix everything, I wanted to go fast, I wanted to go back to work, etc. I wanted to go to this solution
Yeah.
straight away. I was like, okay, just tell me, do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And
Yeah.
I remember vividly the first week or during the first calls, this conversation about you're not going to go into solution space right now.
Yeah.
First of all, you need to go through the process, trust the process, slow down, take time out, listen, and just trust the process. Trust
Mm,
your handheld. And I remember that it took me maybe a few days or a week to basically step back and say, okay, fine, don't go into the end result, just trust the process, go
yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
So that's the memory I have from the beginning of the course.
I love it. Yes, as a typical high achiever. Okay, I, it's been 5 hours. I don't have the result yet. I love it, Francois, because I'm wired the same way. Okay, so what was one of the first results that you saw? Like, where did you start to experience some epiphanies or some shifts that said, okay, this could make a change in my life sustainable?
Well, in my case, I was lucky enough that I was not working. I was off work. We
Yeah.
started in October, and I had the whole month of October and November, the 8 weeks, to really go through the program. And I had planned to go back to work. That was my objective very quickly in December. And when I acknowledged and accepted to follow the process, I took that as an opportunity to really do the deep dive.
Yeah.
And the deep dive was really because I was so searching. It was a bit of soul searching.
Mm,
I was really wanting myself to investigate. I really wanted to understand, and
mm,
this understanding was facilitated and accelerated through the program. So
mm,
within the first 3 weeks, because we uncovered stuff deep
yeah.
down, I was able to put the puzzle back together and rebuild the storyline very, very fast. So I would say within 3 weeks,
Yeah.
I saw a change because I was able to make sense for me about what had happened, and within the last 4 weeks to make sense of like what the way forward was going to look like.
Mm.
So I would say within 3 weeks, I felt a significant difference.
I love that. I love it. And you were so committed to stepping in and following that process, which also got you there. That's so cool. What about ancillary results? In other words, it sounds like you were starting to experience, like you said, like greater flow, back into some control, no longer fearing like, oh my gosh, I got to go back to work. It's looming. It's like, no, wait, I can have this big job and not burn out. But did you see an impact like on your family? Did you see an impact on your health, on your relationships? Were you seeing an impact, I don't know, with your team? Where else did it flow from you, I guess?
Well, it flew again. I was in this particular situation where I was off work, so I was home, but I was immediately able, as soon as I started to rebuild myself from the burnout and going through things and making sense of it. I shared a lot with my husband about what I was learning and the progresses and the discussion that we were having, and I gradually felt a sense of stress relief,
Mm,
which of course
yeah.
immediately transpired in the home environment because until the stop in August, I was high energy, I was transferring my expectation, high stress, high demanding on how the house would run and so on and so forth in the house. So I was actually creating a high level of pressure for
Mm,
my other half and my son. And when I recalibrated that, it was happily enjoying the fact that I was not putting the pressure on everybody anymore. And it gradually saw me coming back to what I was before. So that was really nice to see.
mm,
And from a health point of view, because I was able to really refocus on myself to a new level that I've had type 1 diabetes for 30 years, and you think you know everything after 30 years. Well, no. I was finally, for the first time in my life, being able to look after myself properly. And
mm, mm.
that has been actually mind blowing in a way, to be able to do that and feel like it's coming from the heart. I'm not doing it for the sake of doing it or because the doctor says so. I'm doing it because it's important to me.
Mm. Oof, that's powerful, Francois. Yes. Oh, yes. Now, I remember you telling me a story, I think, when before this burnout happened to you, that you were basically up in the morning very, very early on conference calls. Your son was basically, whisked away by the nanny. Like, I remember you weren't getting a lot of time with him, and that was one of your goals is like, no, no, no. I'm going to send my son to school. I'm going to have breakfast. Like I'm going to do those things again. So is that one of the pieces too that you would say is now
Yeah,
happening for you? Yeah.
and I think that was my worst enemy because I'm not working in an environment where we're asking employees to not look after their families, and that's actually one of the core values of the organization.
Mm,
But I was putting all of these things on me.
yeah.
And of course, if you don't self-limit or put the boundaries yourself in your all daily organization, then no one, and if you don't talk about it, no one's going to know. So the conference call are going to come super early in the morning for someone based in the USA working with Europe. So
Yeah.
the whole course helped me actually speak the language that my organization was expecting me to speak and put
Yes.
myself the boundaries across the family time in the morning, getting my son ready to go to school, all of these things that we take for granted, but I was not doing it in a disciplined way. And that's one of the pieces of the puzzle that fell into place very naturally after the return to work.
Isn't that crazy how now, like boundaries and just shifting and flowing through the day, the workload, the saying yes, the saying no, it's just like part of what you do. Like you don't even think about it anymore. But, a year ago, that would have been like, oh, I can't tell you wouldn't even thought to not show up for a meeting or to reschedule a meeting. And now it's just second nature. Isn't that the coolest?
Yeah, it was good.
It does. It feels really good. Okay, cool. So, anything you wanted to share, with someone else out there who I think has walked in a similar journey that you have, or walked in your shoes and been on that precipice of, do I step back? Is it time to give up my career for a better, different, life experience, or is really struggling, feeling trapped by that? If I give up my career, there's a lot to lose. Any thoughts, advice, things you'd want to share?
What I would say is that for corporate women or people who work, in this type of work, what I really appreciated with the course is that it was extremely well structured.
Mm,
It was also extremely practical.
mm,
So it was not fluffy.
yeah.
It was very operational in a certain way. And I found that the recipes that we were learning were also extremely simple to apply.
Mm,
So I guess what I would say to anybody listening is that it is definitely worth um, the content and the experience. And I'm a bit of an extreme case, but I know that there are a lot of
yeah.
clients who also are extreme case,
Mm,
and it has worked very fast. And some of us that are in this, high achiever, go 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 type of mentality or personality, very simply, I really liked that approach, and I found it extremely effective.
ah,
Certain amount of
fabulous.
time, and I highly encourage everybody to give you a call or give someone a call from the team to explain your case and seek some advice. One thing that I really appreciated with you was that I did all my research before I actually signed up for the
Yeah.
call, and you ended up being the person taking the call, and the call was normally for 45 minutes, and because my because I was emotionally charged or whatever, we ended up spending an hour and a half on the
Yeah.
phone. And I felt a little bit embarrassed at the end of the call, thinking, oh my God, I have actually bothered this lady for an hour and a half with all my blah, blah, blah. But I loved the listening, and I
Yeah.
loved already within the call you were able to detangle a complex situation
Mm,
and give me the wish to go further. So
mm.
this would be my closing words. It's definitely worth investigating for anybody out there
Oh.
who feels they're going through a challenging time.
Oh, Francois, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes. And I do remember that first call. It was really magic. It was really magic. Okay. I have one more question before I close out. So we have an additional way to work with us, right? As you know, which is Corporate Women Rising.
Mhm.
And you jumped into that. You graduated from the first 8 weeks, and then, you took some time to do your thing, and then you came back in. What has that done for you? In other words, because corporate, just for anyone out there who's listening, Corporate Women Rising is really taking what you've learned in the first 8 weeks to a deeper level, a newer level of mastery, but also it's more about community, I think, of women coming together and saying, look, we have common gifts and common challenges, and we can share really effectively and solve for those. But what is it for you? Like what brought you back?
What brought me back is that I went back to work. But been working for 25 years, very strong habits ingrained in me.
Yeah.
And even if I had 8 weeks of the course and 3 months of break, these habits are hard to change. And in January, it was mentally draining to implement all of these new habits that I wanted to have long term. So it
Yeah.
was really taxing. By February, I felt like life was taking over. Old habits were creeping back. Old rhythm was creeping back. And I signed for CWR because I wanted to find the community back. And
Yeah.
I felt I needed that support to really be able to ingrain the change for a much longer period. And when
Mm.
I signed up, I felt a limited sense of relief.
Ah,
And that's the thing that's working for me. It's the belief that it's going to take 12 months, maybe more, to make sure that those good habits that I have built in now are really sustainable for the last part of my career
yeah.
and my work and my life. So
Yes.
really what the team is bringing back to me, and I'm very happy with this.
It's so great, Francois. It's been so great to watch you like step through this. And like you said, like we were just talking before we officially started taping. Look how easy life is now. I mean, it's not like there's no challenges in front of you. You have challenges, but the way that you are able to move through them because these habits are now becoming your new way, it's just like, yeah, I got that. no sweat. You know, and that's just such a freeing place to be. So I'm so happy for you. It's been a privilege to have you work with us. And you're just, well, you inspire everyone around you. So you're just very, a very cool person to know. And I so appreciate you sharing with us. I know your words are going to touch someone else out there and inspire them. So I really appreciate you giving your time for this. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.